문제들에 대해 젊은 세대의 감수성과 공감 능력이 해법을 찾을 수도 있습니다. 특히 미래는 미래 세대의 것이라는 것을 잊지 말아야 할 것입니다. 오늘 이 자리에는 전 세계 청년들과 교감하고 있는 탁월한 청년들 BTS가 미래 세대와 문화를 위한 대통령 특별 사절로 함께하고 있습니다. 최고의 민간 특사 BTS와 함께하는 오늘 이 자리가 지속 가능 발전을 향한 미래 세대의 선한 의지와 행동을 결집하는 계기가 되기를 바랍니다. 한국 국민들은 모두가 안전하지 않으면 누구도 안전하지 않다는 생각으로 누구도 소외되지 않는 포용적 국제협력의 여정에 언제나 굳건한 동반자로 함께할 것입니다. 감사합니다. 이제 제가 다음 발언자를 소개하겠습니다. 이 시대의 최고로 사랑받는 아티스트, 미래 세대와 문화를 위한 대통령 특별사절 BTS. 이제 BTS의 이야기를 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
존경하는 압둘라 샤히드 제76차 유엔 총회의장님, 안토니오 구테레시 유엔 사무총장님, 문재인 대통령님, 그리고 각국 정상 여러분, 이 자리에 서게 되어 진심으로 영광입니다. 대한민국 대통령 특사 방탄소년단입니다. 저희는 오늘 미래 세대의 이야기를 전하기 위해 이 자리에 왔습니다. 오기 전에 전 세계 10대, 20대 분들께 지난 2년은 어땠고 또 지금은 어떤 세상을 살아가고 있는지 물어보았는데요. 어떤 대답들이 있었는지 진 씨가 소개해 주시겠습니다.
네, 같이 한번 보실까요? 보는 것만으로도 기분 좋은 에너지가 느껴지지 않나요? 지난 2년은 사실 저도 당혹스럽고 막막한 기분이 들 때가 있었는데 그렇더라도 Let's live on, 지금을 잘 살아가자 라고 외치는 분들이 있었습니다.
네, 가장 다양한 것을 도전할 수 있는 시기에 멈춰만 있을 수는 없으니까요. 솔직히 처음에는 누구를 탓할 수도 없고 억울하셨을 겁니다. 나는 어제와 똑같은데 한순간에 평행세계에 온 것처럼 세상이 변해버렸으니까요.
입학식, 졸업식이 취소가 됐다는 소식도 들었습니다. 인생에서 꼭 기념해야 하고 기념하고픈 순간이셨을 텐데 많이 안타깝고 아쉬우셨을 것 같습니다. 저희들 같은 경우에도 오랫동안 열심히 준비한 콘서트 투어가 취소가 되면서 정말 많이 속상도 하고 저희가 완성하고 싶었던 순간을 한동안 계속 그리워했던 것 같습니다.
네, 맞습니다. 코로나로 잃어버린 것들에 대한 일종의 애도가 필요한 시간이었습니다. 네, 그동안 당연하다고 여겼던 순간순간의 소중함을 다시 한번 깨닫는 시간이었습니다.
방금 이제 슈가 씨께서 당연하게 여겼던 소중한 것들에 대해서 얘기해 주셨는데요. 저희의 질문에도 소중했던 순간이 담긴 사진들로 답변해 주신 분들이 많았습니다. 특히 이 자연과 함께한 사진들을 많이 보내주셨는데 2년 동안 자연을 느끼고 가꾸면서 시간을 더 특별하게 느끼시지 않았나 생각이 듭니다.
그렇네요. 근데 지구에서 우리에게 남은 시간이 얼마 안 남은 것 같은 불안감이 들어서인 걸까요? 방금 우리가 애도해야 했던 것들에 대해 이야기해봤는데 지구에 대한 애도는 정말 생각하고 싶지도 않네요. 기후변화가 중요한 문제라는 건 다들 공감하시지만 어떤 게 최선의 해결 방법이라고 이야기하는 건 정말 쉽지 않더라고요. 단정지어 말하기엔 어려운 주제인 것 같아요.
맞습니다. 사실 어려운 이야기입니다. 하지만 이 자리에 오기 위해 준비하는 동안 저희가 알게 됐던 것은 환경 문제에 진심으로 관심을 가지고 또 전공으로 택해서 공부하는 학생분들이 굉장히 많다는 사실이었습니다. 아무도 겪어보지 않은 미래이고 거기서는 우리들이 채워갈 시간이 더 많기 때문에 어떤 방식으로 살아가는 게 맞을지 스스로 답을 찾아보고 계신 거였습니다.
그러니까 우리의 미래에 대해 너무 어둡게만 생각하진 않으셨으면 좋겠습니다. 앞으로의 세상을 위해 직접 고민하고 노력하고 길을 찾고 있는 분들도 계실 테니까요. 우리가 주인공인 이야기의 페이지가 한참 남았는데 벌써부터 엔딩이 정해진 것처럼 말하진 않으셨으면 좋겠습니다.
물론 나는 준비가 됐더라도 세상이 멈춰있는 기분이 들 때도 있고 길을 완전히 잃어버린 것 같은 느낌이 들 때도 있습니다. 저희도 그랬던 때가 있었고요.
그래서 지금은 10대, 20대들을 코로나 로스트 제너레이션으로 부르기도 한다고 들었습니다. 가장 다양한 기회와 시도가 필요한 시기에 길을 잃게 되었다는 의미에서요. 그런데 어른들 눈에 보이지 않는다고 해서 길을 잃었다고 말할 수 있을까요?
네, 사진을 함께 보시겠습니다. 온라인 공간에서 새로운 방식으로 친구들과 만남을 이어가고 새롭게 공부를 시작하고 또 앞으로의 감사합니다. 네, 새롭게 공부를 시작하고 더 건강하게 살아가기 위해 노력하시는 분들이 많습니다. 이것은 길을 잃었다기보다 새롭게 용기 내고 도전 중인 모습으로 보여집니다.
네, 그런 의미에서 로스트 제너레이션이 아니라 웰컴 제너레이션이라는 이름이 더 잘 어울린 것 같습니다. 변화에 겁먹기보단 웰컴이라고 말하면서 앞으로 걸어나가는 세대라는 의미에서요.
맞습니다. 가능성과 희망을 믿고 있으면 예상 밖의 상황에서도 길을 잃는 것이 아니라 더 새로운 길을 발견하게 될 것이라고 믿어 의심치 않습니다.
네, 우리가 택하는 방법들 중에 완벽하지 않은 것들도 분명하게 있겠지만 그렇다고 해서 할 수 있는 게 아무것도 없을 거라고 생각하진 않습니다.
중요한 건 변화 앞에서 어떤 선택을 하느냐 아닐까요? 저희가 유엔에 온다는 소식을 듣고 정말 많은 분들이 백신 접종을 했는지 궁금해 하시더라고요. 이 자리를 빌려 말씀드리면 저희 7명 모두 백신을 맞았습니다.
백신 접종은 저희를 기다리는 팬들을 만나기 위해서 그리고 이 자리에 오기 위해 끊어야 하는 일종의 티켓 같은 거였다고 생각하고 있습니다. 오늘 전해드린 메시지처럼 우리는 우리가 지금 할 수 있는 것들을 하고 있는 중이니까요.
백신 접종도 그렇고 새로운 일상을 이어나가기 위한 노력들이 계속되고 있으니까 우리 곧 얼굴을 마주하고 만날 날이 멀지 않은 것 같습니다. 그때까지 모두 긍정적인 에너지로 다시 반겼으면 좋겠습니다.
세상이 멈춘 줄 알았는데 분명히 조금씩 앞으로 나아가고 있습니다. 모든 선택은 그 선택이 곧 변화의 시작이라고 믿고 있습니다. 엔딩이 아니라요. 새롭게 시작되는 세상에서 모두에게 서로에게 웰컴이라고 말해줄 수 있었으면 좋겠습니다. 이제 저희가 들려드릴 Permission to Dance는 모두에게 미리 전하고 싶은 저희의 웰컴 인사입니다.
It's so that of me when your heart says like a drum, beating louder with no way to guard it. When it all seems like it's wrong, say it louder out and join to that feeling we're just getting started.
And when the nights get colder and the rhythm's got you falling behind,
Just dream up of that moment when you look yourself right in the eye. so you know just how to put just sit there right up, yeah. 'Cause there's no looking back. There ain't no 1, 2 proof. We don't got this all right, yeah. So when it's over, the time is not so let's do it right. Yeah, we keep going and stay up until we see the sun. Until we say, I wanna dance, the music's got me going, and nothing that can stop how we move. Yeah, let's make a pass and leave just like we're going and rolling like a dancing fool. We don't need to worry, 'cause when we fall we know how to land. Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight. 'Cause we don't need permission to dance. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. We don't need permission to dance. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Let me show you, and then we can keep the fire alight. 'Cause it's not over till it's over. Say it one more time. Say, I wanna dance, the music's got me going, and nothing can stop how we move. Hey, let's take it past and leave just like we're golden and rolling like a dancing fool. We don't need to worry, 'cause when we fall we know how to land. Talk, talk, just walk the walk tonight. 'Cause we don't need permission. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. We don't need permission to dance. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. We don't need permission to dance. Hey, na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. We don't need permission to dance. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. We don't need permission to dance.
What if we could take the wisdom and experience of established leaders and combine it with the talents and the innovation of youth? That's what we're talking about in today's discussion. What if it's not just one generation passing the baton to another, but multiple generations working and co-creating together? Well, we're being joined today by two intergenerational leaders who are doing just that. Each is using the SDG goals as a guide to focus their work and concentrate on creating together. We have legendary stateswoman, elder, and SDG advocate Gracia Michel, who's championed education as a pathway for peace and prosperity for all, especially young women. We're also being joined by STEM activist and SDG advocate Valentina Muñez Ravanal, who at 19 years old has already helped write the first artificial intelligence policy in her home country of Chile. Thank you both for joining us.
Hello, thank you very much.
Ms. Gracia Michel, let me begin with you. You've said in the past that we are living through a crisis of consciousness and a crisis of leadership, frankly. How can intergenerational co-creation help fight this problem and be part of the solution?
Let me bring one example of what, as a member of the elders, we did exactly this. In celebration of Mandela's 100 years, we brought together civil society organizations across the globe, and I mean from all continents. And we brought activists who are working in peace, justice, climate change, human rights, education, women and youth empowerment, to really give the best of examples of what is going on the world from the grassroots. And this was an experience to bring the local to the global, bringing all continents together, men and women, old and young, and from different perspectives, to reimagine a world of peace, a world where climate is not going to be aware, we will be able to protect our planet, to provide education to young generations, to bridge inequalities. And with this, we build a movement we called Walking Together for a Better Future. So I believe today we need to multiply these kind of initiatives, bringing all we can around the SDGs, recreating, reimagining, reinventing ways of recognizing dignity of every single human being across globe. And I believe that way we can implement the Sustainable Development Goals.
Valentina, you are an award-winning robotics engineer as well as the tip of the spear in artificial intelligence, both tools towards creating change. How do you think intergenerational cooperation can move forward?
Well, I think that around the world, especially in Latin America, it is thought that if you don't have a vote, you don't have a voice. And who has no vote? Children. And democracy is built around that idea, institutionalizing the way of doing politics, when the reality is that the personal is political, and each of our problems and strategies to combat them are political too. And there is no age to change the world. Malala and Greta Thunberg have proven it more than anything, that what we need is first to establish new forms of participation and political influence in which children and adolescents can be more than just spectators, but also protagonists of discussion and change. That it's some kind of thing that we made around the construction of the first national artificial intelligence policy in Chile, my country. We tried with UNICEF, with the Defensory of Childhood, and the Latin American Association of Young Women for Ideas to establish youth voices around political that involve us all. I think that this is a problem that has its roots really deep into our communities, starting into our families. And I think that there is the starting point. We can do something so simple, so basic, so easy as asking our children what do they think while we are having lunch or dinner. Our dinner table is the first place where children learn to be quiet. Let's change that. Why we can't change that? Encourage our children to think politically and to speak loud about what they think. That's how our dinner tables are going to become into decision tables. And that's how we're going to teach children that they don't need to ask for permission for saying what they think, because there are no adult conversations, and they can conquer every other space that where they feel that belong and want to be a part of.
And Ms. Gracia Michel, in preparation for this conversation, I looked up old articles about you and saw photos of the young Gracia Michel, as fiery as ever today. I wonder what your concerns are, though, as you look out on the horizon about the future of working intergenerationally.
I think we need to build movements. Wherever we are and whatever we are concerned with and we are working, when you are one voice, you are weak. But when you bring people together and who think together and act together, that voice cannot be ignored. Whether it's regional, whether it is the UN, when we work together as movements, we remove the barriers which are preventing us from implementing what we have agreed upon. So I think the voice of everyone is to be listened to when it is articulate and representing aspirations of millions of people who come together. And then institutions will be forced to take into account. Governments will have to take into account. And I think now, for instance, the fact that the Secretary General has brought the advocates for SDGs, very young voices. I think it will shake people to listen and not to ignore. And we need to include even mechanisms of accountability.
Ms. Michelle, clearly your wisdom and your experience over your lifetime is invaluable to this conversation. And yet, looking towards the future, what brings you hope?
Exactly, to be listening to Valentina, listening to Malala, listening to Eddie Ndlovu, listening to Greta Thunberg, these young, vibrant and dynamic young people who have embraced global issues, which we adults, perhaps we do not have any more creative ways of tackling them. And they come with their imagination, with their forcefulness, and they challenge us in a way perhaps we were not used to be. And for me, the hope is exactly to feel that this young generation is taking up responsibility. It brings fresh ideas, which are, in fact, they are scientifically well founded, and they encourage us to move forward. And these are the voices which are telling us that, like them, there are millions of young people like those. It's not the future, as Valentina is saying, it's the present, which is with us now, which is shaping a new future. So I listen with pleasure and with humility, and I feel in my heart that, the world is in good hands.
How does technology help create change for the future?
In October 18 from 2019, in my country, Chile, we wake it up, what we call it, the social outbreak, and started when the subway ticket had an increase of 30 Chilean pesos, and the Chilean students, children and teenagers, they evaded the payment of that ticket on protest for the increasement. It ended up with the biggest national march in the history of my country, all that because of youth. I think that that's my hope. Things are happening and youth is making that happen. I know we're changing the world, we just need the word to see it.
I'm not getting audio.
You know, the Sustainable Development Goals speaks to issues of concern, issues which are affecting our everyday lives, wherever you are, whatever it's your age, whatever it's your profession. And because of that, I feel we need to just build bridges and complementarities to work together. Those who are in the political sphere, those who are in science, those who are in business, those who are researchers, those who are civil society organizations, is grassroots, those who are activists. Sustainable Development Goals have a task to every single one of us. Perhaps I will add that we need to build the social contracts. You can't be doing good if you don't have clarity on what your responsibilities are, what is the responsibility of others, and we have a space in which we take stock, we see what's going on well, what need to be corrected, but we make each one of us also accountable to move forward with the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. And I think these spaces of working together, but also of accountability, are important. because we have been making some promises which are unmet. This is totally unacceptable. So those spaces of working together, accountability, and moving, encouraging every one of us that it is possible, it has to be done, it is for the good of all of us. Those spaces are needed for implementation of the SDGs.
Ms. Michelle, the wisdom of the elders, and Ms. Ravanal, the wisdom of our youth. Thank you both so much in joining us in conversation. Incredibly insightful. And thank you for joining us.